All right, everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're reacting to a video from Rareth Links. So it'll be linked in the description. It covers a gameplay concept for Five Nights at Freddy's in Dead by Daylight, and it is over 3 years old. So because we actually have the PTB and we actually have the release right around the corner, I thought I would come in and look at some concepts from where it, pretty much where it was back in like what people thought it might be, and see if it's at all any accurate, if they were close, maybe the concept would be better or not. Let's go ahead and find out. But I'm really curious to see what kind of stayed true. Well, there is one thing that I will say that has changed, I think, from what the concept is from this and what it is nowadays. And one thing that we can see from the menu here, which is interesting, is the fact that they sort of had him with a fire axe, which, as you guys know, is a part of the ability. But as he kind of stands around in the menu screen, he obviously just carries around his kitchen knife, which is interesting, and it is crazy to kind of think about. And overall, I will say that one thing that we do know that does is a step above in the PTB and in the release is that he really does kind of walk around, and he has like a very special animations, and it's interesting to see like a concept of it in comparison to the real sort of thing. So let's keep going. Oh, cool. So he actually put lore, like the lore in there, which if you guys have been able to read it, you guys can kind of sort of compare. I'm interested in seeing the perks. Okay, so the first perk that they had in the concept was backstage horrors. Even with the curtains called, stage fright sets in. So whenever a survivor sees your aura, they scream and have their own aura revealed to you for 4 seconds. They also suffer from the oblivious status effect for 30 seconds. Funny enough, as you guys know, there is a perk that released with Springtrap in the current PTB and in the coming release, where if they're in your terror radius, they scream. So who would have guessed that somebody from 3 years ago was able to kind of pinpoint that a perk like that potentially could be the case? Now, the difference is obviously that it is only aura based and it's not specifically being in the terror radius, but very close. Who would have guessed? And the cooldown being about 80, 70, or 60 seconds. I mean, that's pretty close. I gotta say, that is an interesting way to see it. I gotta say, I'm very interested in seeing the next one. So the next one is Grim Celebration. So anything that can be cause for celebration, even if you get away with it all. So hooking a survivor grants you the undetectable status effect for 6 seconds. The duration is extended by additional 2 seconds for each unique survivor hooked by your hand in this trial. So it seems like Grim Celebration would have been sort of like the furtive chase that we have nowadays. We did not see any perk like this in the game currently, and I'm curious to see if we'll ever get a perk like this in the future. That you sort of get like a buffed up, sort of we get a buffed up sort of furtive chase in a way. And interestingly enough, we actually got a 24-meter tear radius. So the last one's Cruel Machinations. It says that it activates for a minute after hooking a survivor, so manually damaging a gen calls upon the entity to block it as long as Cruel Machinations is active. So this was like 3 years ago. And it sort of kind of sounds like the unknown perk that if you get tokens and then you can block the gens after kicking it. So hey, I mean, you know, it's interesting to see concepts from back in the day. So, and it's also okay, so it actually talks about the powers. So it says your familiarity with the secret back rooms and long lost locations have caught the attention of the entity and thus grants you freedom of finding more of them within its own realm. So Phantom Trespasser, press and hold the power button to enter Trespasser mode, and then you can press and hold the power button again to emerge. As you emerge from Trespasser mode, you unleash an intense screech, alerting all survivors to your presence. Entering Trespasser mode 2.5 seconds, base emerge duration 1.5, base emerge movement speed 40%. So while in Trespasser mode, you are incomprehensible phantom, unable to attack and barely recognizable from 16 meters or further away, and you produce a non-directional phantom radius of 40 meters. So he had sort of like a lullaby according to the gameplay concept. And it says that he sort of can walk around undetectable, it seems, and kind of sneak up on people, which is interesting. They kind of made him a little bit like, I mean, I guess a little bit like old Freddy, back way back before his reworks, which is quite interesting to see. And it says special attack Phantom Assault. After you finish emerging, you may press the attack button. If you do, you lunge forward with sudden speed and a powerful swing to brutally slay any victim in your path, putting the survivor into the dying state. If you hit a dropped pallet or break up a wall, they instantly break. Same applies to generators, causing them to instantly regress upon impact. So it's almost like using, almost like a Wesker dash. It sounds like. Oh well, in a way, it's definitely different nowadays. But you know, as we know that the power is like you're throwing an axe. You can go through the back rooms and those things. I don't know, like you go through the security room and end up in a different area of the map and stuff like that. Very interesting and definitely very different than what we've seen. And you know, lo and behold, right? Like 3 years later, we actually have something to compare it to. And I will say that the concept here is actually very hard to imagine, but I do like the new concept. Obviously the thing that came out or is coming out with the PTB and stuff like that. And it says special ability Desolate Hope. So it says press the active ability button while in Trespasser mode to reveal agony trails in the air within 10 meters as long as you remain in Trespasser mode, showing the paths recently traveled by survivors. So we don't have that yet, or on any killer in the game, which is interesting. And it says that the trail is for 8 seconds, and Desolate Hope activation is creating auto queue for survivors. So it's very interesting to see. I want to see what else that we have. Is it going to show the add-ons? So okay, yeah. So we have like an add-on pop balloon operation manual for like recovering quicker. Injuring survivors can't hear when it's activated. Discarded. Mini arena. Traction. Phantom radius is reduced. 8 meters. Paper pal. Phantom's assault lunge movement speed is increased by 15%. So none of the add-ons, I would say, really match what we would have expected to see in the current PTB, which is interesting. Safety guidelines. It seems very, like a lot of these seem very general. Fred Bear plush doll. Attractions, Phantom radius is just. Oh, so they actually called him the attraction in the concept art. Not the concept, but like in this sort of concept of like that somebody had come up with, I should say. I want to be very, very specific when I speak about it. So it says help wanted. So interesting. Okay. Very, very different as we expect. You know, obviously, something like a concept that is fan-made versus like what actually released. It's very interesting to see. And obviously, this was 3 years ago. So DVD from 3 years ago is very different than DVD, nowadays. So it's definitely very crazy to see. Oh, okay. I've never seen this this look for Springtrap before. I don't know what this is like a reference to or anything. For those of you who do know, let me know in the comments. I'll try to explain it, but I wasn't entirely sure what this is supposed to look like. It does look pretty scary though, I will say. I like that. That's quite nice. Oh, they actually included a survivor? Now, this is one thing that we know in the future, that we never actually got a survivor to accompany, which is supposed to be Michael Afton. That's what it says. And for those of you who know the lore, you guys will be able to help explain this. But wow, is that what I think it is right there? Is that Ripley from years ago? And it has a bunch of lore here too. But as we know now, like, it seems that Scott didn't really want to have a survivor into the chapter. And the perks are, as it says that you don't leave scratch marks when running or create noise notifications. So we do have a perk like that exists. This one says that you gain 3% haste to further, oh wow. So would you look at that? 3 years ago, somebody called made for this. Somebody called made for this 3 years ago. Wow, that's interesting. And then this one says when okay, when a survivor is injured by an M2, you see the aura of the killer. When you're put into dying state, it reveals the aura for 2 seconds to all survivors. That's a perk that would be interesting to see in the game if it were ever to be added. So I do want to see what the power would look like, because obviously we're in the future, man. Oh my! So we're actually sticking with the axe here. Oh okay. So it looks a little different from the unknown, because you know the unknown has an axe. So we know the map looks different, you know, but very close, I would say, to what they predicted 3 years ago. I want to see what it looks like when they swing at somebody. Oh, okay. So it's almost like how it is in the current release in a way, right? Because you're sort of popping up on people. But the difference is that you're not really doing that, because it's more like you're phasing like Wraith more than you are going through a door, which is interesting. So I'm not too sure like what the idea behind having him be kind of like a ghost, kind of floating around. Not gonna lie, that would be kind of broken. That would be kind of broken if that was in the game. Like, yo, he walked up and just one-shotted him. Like, what is that? But that was 3 years ago. You know, that like old DVD is very different than current DVD, so that would never apply to the current DVD. But we know that much. Oh, it really does seem like a lot like Wraith, where it's like you can sort of see them like kind of floating around, you know? It's a little weird. I gotta say, I do like the current version a little bit more. It feels a lot more true to the Oh, okay. Even the Terry sounds very different, obviously. Oh, okay. What an interesting way to swing it, too. Because mind you, this was many years. This was literally like 3 years ago that somebody created this concept, and it's interesting to see just how different it is from the real release. But I have to stick with the idea that I do prefer the new release over this. But let's go ahead and move on to the Mori. Oh. Wait, hold on. Let's get a replay on that. Well, I gotta say, I do think that, you know, they did a fantastic job putting this together 3 years ago. But I will say though, I think that I prefer the current Mori. It feels a lot like people have described it to be similar to like Mortal Kombat, and I kind of agree with that. I do like the new Mori that we have coming out than the concept, because it does kind of remind me of Demogorgon, and I would hope that, you know, something like this would be uh a little bit more unique, I guess. But obviously, this was from a time where Moris weren't even like that advanced. So I can imagine that, you know, you can't like, you know, as you want to, I guess you want to keep it as realistic as possible. But with that being said, if you want to check out the original video, it'll be linked in the description. You can support the original creator and support the original video. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. What do you think of the concept Springtrap in comparison to the Springtrap we're actually getting on release? What do you guys think? Let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video.